10 seconds.
Whatever it is. But it's really neat.
What?
Worth your time.
No,
NASCAR.
I've kind of mostly been NASCAR.
Call to order city council meeting for Tuesday, March 7th. Roll call, please. And with our Councilmember Jepson, just a reminder, we will have roll call votes on everything tonight.
Yeah. And Ryan, you need to put your video up if you can. All right. Gesme.
Here.
Grote.
Here.
Jepson. We'll get back to him. Johnson.
Here.
Cronenberger.
Here.
Lundell.
Here.
Montgomery.
Here.
Ryan.
I'm here.
All right. Let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would entertain a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Lisa,
I'll second.
second from Derek. Any further discussion? Roll call. Gesme.
Aye.
Grote.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Cronenberger.
Aye.
Lundell.
Aye.
And it passes. Public input. Do we have, nope, I don't have the sheet yet. Public input is intended to afford the public an opportunity to address concerns to the city council. The public input will be no longer than 30 minutes in total length. Each speaker will have no more than 3 minutes to speak. Speakers may address topics relevant to the governance of the city. Speakers must sign up in advance and must provide their name, address, and the topic they intend to address. Comments must be on topic, respectful, pertinent to city business, and adhere to the applicable data privacy rules. Any speaker that violates these rules will be asked to sit down, and if the speaker refuses to comply, they may be removed from the meeting. Speakers shall not address topics that are not subject of a public hearing. All such comments shall be made at the public hearing. The City Council will not generally act on issues raised by the public input, but may choose to schedule consideration of the item on a future agenda. First tonight, Nancy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Nancy Hovel with the Cannon Valley Fair. Just wanted to give you guys a report on how we did last year, okay? Our 2022 fair. We had 421 4-H exhibits. We had 51 head that came in for our District 6 Holstein show. We had 48 head that came in for our Jackpot Beef show. Now, these people are coming from all over to see this community and get exposed to it. We had 29 head that came in for our Market Goat show. 97 head of sheep for open class. We had in the open class building 76 culinary. Derek, that's food, okay, and canning. Okay, I just wanted to, we had 351 exhibits that were needle and fancy work, crafts, photography, woodworking, and domestic arts. Now, that's a lot of talent. We had 270 exhibits of flowers and vegetables. Like I say, we take in 4-H kids and any open class exhibits from our surrounding counties, Dakota, Rice, Washington, so we bring people to town and they come back. What else do we do? The senior center sells our tickets at our gates. That's one of their main fundraisers. Okay, the Cannon Falls Lions Club has an excellent food stand. I'm sure you Laura's been there, I know that. The Knights of Columbus in Cannon Falls has a food stand there. I don't think they have that anywhere else in the community, but the Cannon Valley Fair has them there. We have the VFW and the Legion that has the beer gardens there. The FFA provides the kiddie barnyard for us, and that's our future in ag, is the FFA. And who can walk by the malt booth and not order one or two, because they are pretty good. We also pay different organizations to help us with parking. Last year, the Cannon Falls Humanity Club, for their trip fundraiser, parked cars for us. We've had in the past the Cannon Falls church groups that are going on a trip. They park cars. We have the Civil Air Patrol. We have National Honor Society. So we are in turn bringing the community and giving them a chance to make money in our community. Okay, the 4-H clubs, every morning of the fair, we have a different 4-H club come in and pick up garbage. Because, I don't know, I think you probably all noticed, people have a tendency to do this, rather than take their garbage to the proper place. We provide good entertainment. We have bands every night. We have grandstand events, which are very good, aren't they? Yes, okay, see? We do. The Cannon Valley Fair does the 4th of July parade. That's a lot of work, and it's an expense. The Cannon Valley Fair does the fireworks. Not many fairs put on a fireworks show like we do. The Cannon Falls Lions have their Father's Day pancake breakfast at our fairgrounds. They had tried it for the first time last year, loved it. They're coming back this year. So keep that date open for the Lions. We let parking be done for funerals that are held at Hannah's Bend Park, We allow them to do parking for the Wine and Arts Fest that's held at Hannah's Bend. We let them park for the Doulathon. I don't know if it was held last year, but I know it was the previous year. We let the Cannon Falls Fire Department use our grounds for practice sessions. So, I think we're pretty good at providing things for the community. We are having harness horse racing a couple extra times this year. Well, those people come from a ways off. If they want to go home, they got to buy gas in town here, right? Then they'll grab some coffee and snacks and maybe a meal. Memorial Day weekend, we're having a demolition derby, a 2-day event. That's going to bring people in. So I just wanted to tell you, we do a lot for this community, and I hope in return the city will realize what we do. And what I'm really impressed with is the 4-H kids and the volunteers we get. They come to us as 4-Hers, because you can start now in kindergarten, and they come back as volunteers in their 30s and 40s. So it's a circle. So thank you. And you all know Cannon Valley Fair runs July 1st through the 4th. Entry day is June 30th. And always looking for volunteers. Lisa knows that, right? Mm-hmm.
I volunteer, Diane.
Okay, I'll take her. Oh, yeah, I'll take them both.
I'm a
Let's-
4-H graduate too, so what can I say?
Oh,
10-year grad.
mm-hmm. Right? It's a good program. And I'd hate to see it, not be around. And we're a good practice fair. So, anybody have any questions for me? I've been at this fair for probably 36 years, and I'm not going to leave, Sarah. You know that.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah?
Thank you. Becky Youngmark.
Hi, I'm Becky Youngmark, as you know. Anyway, I just have a question. According to our city charter, 4.07, my understanding is when we're hiring police officers, that it's supposed to come from the police commission. And the last couple times Jeff has been bringing it to council, I'm just wondering why the police commission isn't the one that's bringing it to council like it states in the city charter. So, and I did email Laura about it this afternoon. So I would try to talk directly to her to find an answer before I came here. So, and she probably didn't see it or didn't have time to answer. But that's just my question. If the police commission is the one that's supposed to be making those decisions and doing the interviews, and according to the charter, how I read it, is they're the ones that should be presenting it to the council. I'm not ditching Jeff in any way, shape, or form. But that's the way the policy is written, and that's why I'm asking about it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
Moving on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items may be adopted under one motion as presented or may be removed for discussion and resolution as council business. Item A, just and correct claims for the accounting period ending on March 2nd, 2023. Item B, meeting minutes for February 21st, 2023 City Council meeting. Item C, approve new on-sale wine license for the Cannon Falls Bears. D, second reading and adoption of ordinance 390, amending city code section 152.648 relating to indoor storage. Item E, approve replacement of wastewater treatment plant raw wastewater pit pump. Item F, approve the sale of a 2000 Dodge Dakota pickup. Item G, approve Minnesota Fire Engine Club's request. Item H, approve East Side Park name change. Item I, approve East Side Park sign replacement. And item J, approve hire of 2 police officers. Is there anything the council would like to be pulled down and put into council business?
I'd like to pull down J, please.
J, the police officers. Okay, that will become, would you guys like that to be council business A or D?
Oh,
You'd like it to be A? Okay. Fair enough. Anything else by the council? I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Lisa. Any further discussion? All those, we'll go roll call. Gesme,
Aye.
Grote,
Aye.
Jepson,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Cronenberger,
Aye.
Lundell.
Aye.
And the consent agenda carries. Council business, we will start off with item A, which was the approving hire of 2 police officers. Laura.
Yeah, so I did get it, and I didn't get my email till right before we got here, but I just wanted to pull down that just to do some clarification and make any changes if we feel that we need to. The city, or the police commission, which I'm a member of, I'm not the chair, yeah, because you ditched us, so. Yeah.
Wendy's the chair now.
Wendy Rower is the chair, but I'm a member of the committee, or commission. So we met in January and agreed to follow a process of allocating a interview committee, so a subset And the interview committee is the folks that did the interviewing and how it works, which was new to me, but every candidate is asked the same amount of questions, and then there's a scoring system, and then that goes off of the scoring system. It's not any one person's decision, it's a committee's decision. In the police commission meeting in January, it was decided that whoever the interview committee chose is who the police commission was going to agree with. And so I do understand that the memo itself came from Chief McCormick, but it was the recommendation of the committee, the interviewing committee, that did it. So let it go there for a moment.
So just like the minutes of the meeting, they're taken care of within the police department. Our staff handles the commission's administrative function, so to speak, so that the chairperson doesn't have to be responsible for that. We bring somebody, either myself or other staff will come and take the minutes and then write them up. And then in this case, as I've done since I've been here, I'm just a conduit. I prepare the memo on behalf of the commission. So it's not my recommendation. I'm just bringing forward the recommendation from a committee, or commission in this case.
And then to try to give further understanding to this situation, this was also the transition of the commission, a new council. So
There was a change in membership, there was change
Correct.
in council, there was change, yes.
And so in an effort to be expedient.
Well, the
for
other
need-
dynamic is, twofold. When the charter was written, Minnesota was not a licensing state. So you would hire your own staff, there would be local hires. 1976, it was changed to a licensure state. So as we move through the process, we're actually mandated, as your chief law enforcement officer for the city, I'm mandated to follow the post guidelines and rules. And so in order for us to appoint an officer, they have to meet all those certain guidelines and rules that the post board sets. So that's where we get the conditional offer. That kicks in the process that allows us to verify all of those requirements. If they're not met, we cannot put them on as an officer, no matter how bad we want them. And so the discretion that the commission used to have really has been much more limited as a result of becoming a licensure state. And so now the uniqueness of these times, we're competing with hundreds of other agencies. Just last week, the administrator and I were talking, there were 175 postings for police officer positions. And what I am afraid of, and as I expressed to the commission, my concern on being expedient, is we may have people going through multiple processes. And if we delay, they may accept somebody else's offer. And so far, this is the first one that we're hopefully going to have complete. We brought this process forward previously. They just were not successful in completing all the requirements.
Okay, so down to brass tacks, are we in compliance with the 407? It sounds like we probably are.
I believe we are, in that the commission made a decision on to follow the ranking and move forward in bringing that person back to the hiring authority.
And in light of Diane's comments in our work session, I mean, to me, that's acceptable, but I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know, I understand that it makes sense that the police commission said we're going to follow this, and it was all set up prior, and we're just following that. But if we feel that it's not crossing the Ts and dotting the Is, then we can do, obviously I want to do the right thing, but.
So in the memo before you, the police commission did approve the candidate for part-time, specifically that individual, where with the candidate for full-time, it was to be determined based on the results of the interview commission or interview committee. So if you want to bring that one back after the commission meets again, we can certainly do that. There's
And
always the risk.
And we are,
But,
meeting again?
Yep, we will end up meeting again. We're just trying to peg down the night or the day, you know, that type of thing. Because I'm trying to coordinate 5 other schedules together.
What are you talking about?
And we aren't using a Google document for obvious reasons, Diane. But the part-time officer was specifically individually identified as to be brought forward by the commission. The full-time position was identified by the qualified candidate to be brought forward.
So the risk that I see of, I mean, we're going to meet next week, so if we want to rubber stamp the police commission on top of the fact that we said we're going to go by this, but we want to rubber stamp it, we can do that. But then that's 2 more weeks before we have another council meeting. Or could we say something like, can we say, can we modify this that we're approving tonight to say upon approval by the police commission?
And
Can we add that wording?
The wording of the memo is just that, wording of the memo. The actual motion that would follow would be whatever you guys designate that motion
Sure.
to be. During consent, it's typically what the language within the memo, staff has prepared. But if on a pulled item, that memo is just a suggested language, a language that this body uses for making that
Right.
motion, if they so choose, is whatever this body makes that motion. So if you want to separate the two, approve the part-time with, as, so to speak, written,
Right.
that body can, or your body can make that decision. If you want to separate the full-time and say, we don't want to have this one activated or hired unless the commission makes that recommendation back to us, you certainly can do that too.
In a matter of, I understand, so we're talking about, we want to make sure that we're doing everything by our city charter.
Yep.
But also, like you said, to be timely. I think it'd be my belief that our decision as a police commission would follow that. Like we said, there were extenuating circumstances of the end of the calendar year, the interviews that had already been done. Instead of going back to square one and doing the interview process all over again with the new commission, we did approve. With all that said, I think that we stand on pretty firm ground.
And just for the rest of the body, we had a change in membership of the commission, but we utilized the same people for the interview panel. So we did an interview panel with the old old commission membership. And I believe we interviewed 5. We had 6 applicants, 1 dropped. Then we interviewed again, and I believe we interviewed 4, maybe 5. Michelle has the full roster, but those were then averaged, combined, and then re-racked with both interviews. So it wasn't just the first one and then the second one done separately. They ended up being a combined effort.
Any other questions from the council?
So would you consider hiring them both based on what you find out Thursday? Could we make that type of a motion?
Well, I mean, based on what commission has already discussed, it's going to be a 5-minute meeting to rubber stamp what the interview committee is suggesting, because we already agreed as a commission that we were going to go with the recommendation of the hiring committee. So, I mean,
And
if we believe that we need that stamp from the commission, we certainly can do that, but it's going to be a 5-minute meeting.
yeah, and that's on the full-time officer.
Yeah, on the full-time. The part-time is not an
Part-time had
issue.
already
That
been
was
interviewed,
approved.
we just delayed bringing that person on because we were hiring and training, through part of 21 and most of 22.
Is it possible, I mean, obviously, we can go ahead and today hire the conditional officer. For the full-time, or the part-time, the full-time officer, can we, as a council, make a motion basically to hire that person if the police commission rubber stamps it at their meeting, or is that?
Well, I'd prefer not rubber stamp.
Not rubber- it's not- yeah, okay.
I would hope they
Let
would
me
give
rephrase it.
serious
Right.
deliberation
If
to,
the
you know,
police
whatever was
commission
discussed.
Approves.
You're right, that was a
it.
bad choice
I
of
didn't
words.
know
I
if we could,
apologize.
if we could make a motion conditional upon their approval, or if we have to do it at another meeting.
I believe you can, but I would probably defer to the administrator if he's got any, you know, greater knowledge in that area than I do as far as the flow.
I think you can do that. Contingent upon police commission.
And we need two separate motions, correct?
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Then I move that we hire Robert Luna as part-time police officer, provided successfully meet all required conditions of conditional offer.
I have a motion from Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Gesme. Any further discussion on this first motion? All right, roll call vote. Gesme.
Aye.
Grote.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Cronenberger.
Aye.
Lundell.
Aye.
And the motion carries. I would accept a motion or a second for the other position as well.
So what we want to do is, I'll make a motion to
Procedural concern.
approve the hiring of the full-time position
Request a second.
post police commission approval?
Contingent upon police commission approval.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion from Ms. Cronenberger.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Gesme. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Gesme.
Aye.
Grote.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Cronenberger.
Aye.
Lundell. And it carries. Moving on to council business item B, posting on city website. Diane.
Yes, I've noticed that there are other city websites that have agendas and all supporting documentation for all of their various boards, committee, commissions, and whatever one calls them. And I know, I know that it would take time to initially set up our website to have all those little bullet points or little folders on the site. But once that is done, being all of these things are already computer ready, I wouldn't think it would take that much time to upload them to the website. But I personally would find it very, very helpful to be able to have that information available on my computer as opposed to trying to come down to City Hall and ask for copies at the office.
Discussion from the council or questions from city administrator?
I think one of the things that, when you look on the larger communities like Diane called out, Farmington and Faribault, and you look on Northfield, that's a software program that they pay for and annually have a maintenance program. And I'm guessing that's many thousands of dollars a year, because that's nothing that's Laura and her magic can do. If you take a look at it, and because it comes around to many different, so I've been contacted by these agenda keeper people, and I've never reached out to ask how much it would cost, because I know when you start going into software programs and getting these people, it's no different than our finance programs and stuff like that. So you probably won't find a smaller community that has that type of stuff, because when you have that all together and you have a consultant and a software program that puts it together for you, it costs a lot of money. I don't know what the right answer is. You know, I agree there should be a way to get the stuff. As Sarah said today, there's people that ask to be put on the mailing list. I don't know what would be wrong with that. To get the agenda, it's just a group email. Get your name on it. Okay? So she has, as she said, she has people that are on it already. When I was down in Zumbrota, we had quite a list of people that were on that list. So I don't think that's how small cities do it. I don't know with what we're going into with this high rate of inflation, if we want to get into that, into another expensive annual software program to provide that information. But if there's people out there that want the information, they can get a hold of Sarah, give them her email address, and she'll put them on the list. That's how small cities do it.
Do you email out the agenda and the meeting minutes, or just the agenda, or just the minutes?
It depends on how the request is written. So they have to send a request to me by email is typically all it is just, and so far the request has only been agendas. So
The
that's-
distribution that you're already
Yeah,
doing?
Yep. So
is
that's
agendas.
Agendas only.
And so you wouldn't get, I'm just clarifying.
no,
You'd
that's
get the meeting minutes the following time when it's on the,
No, so it's just the 2
Oh,
sheets agenda.
it's
Or the
not the
one
whole thing.
sheet yep. That's what it is only just that one or 2 pages agenda.
And the recipients, are they blind carbon copied so that the other recipients don't know who's received them?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you could ask to do this for every board commission group and ask for not only the agenda, but all of the supporting documents?
If it's provided to me in writing, then yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Could it, and if that's the, I mean, I still think we should at least look at what it would cost. I mean, we already have that one thing when you click on the council agendas that has one little folder, and, you know, I do not know at all how to design websites, but I kept thinking, why couldn't we have more little folders up there?
When that was created, just a little history, when that was created, we did at that time have a full-time IT person on board. And he was the one that structured all of that and developed and figured out how to make all of that work. But he was full-time. So when when I'd get an agenda, I'd ship it off to him and he would post it and take care of that. When he left the city, then he just basically showed us each, okay, this is how you do it. And that's honestly all I do is still follow his rules, even though it's been a couple years now. Yeah. So
You want me to ask them?
yeah, you might know who it is. But yeah, so that's truly all I know. I don't know anything further than that. So, according, thinking of these software programs and stuff, they most likely have an IT person as well that helps create and post and do all that other stuff on their city websites. We just don't have that manpower at this time.
And I assume that the postings that we have currently are enough to fulfill the requirements, the posting on the city
Yes.
hall door.
Absolutely.
So that's,
Yeah.
yeah. So we're doing what is necessary
For sure.
to be transparent.
Yeah.
If we could find someone that would be willing to come in and at no cost to the city, look at it and say, we could come up with more little folders, and then every group would be able to just go, like, right now, I'm assuming you put our council stuff in the little folder?
That is the city council agendas, yes,
Yeah.
that is me.
And so if they created little baby folders that didn't cost us anything for planning commission and parks or whatever, other people then could just as easily from their group upload it to that little folder, just like you do for the city council, one would think.
It's linked into we have a database that our document imaging program that we use, and it's linked into that. And I know when this was created that the city council agenda folder in this program is the only open to the public access. And so I think it's more complicated than what you're saying, that as far as, I am not an IT person, so don't quote me on any of this, but I know that you're going to have somebody to be able to work and design it to be able to be more public because each folders, yes, I mean, I put in all those agenda packets for all those meetings in that program, but the only thing that's open to the public is the city council one. And I don't know the reasoning why that was set up that way or not, but they would have to go in and reprogram this program.
So you already have the other little folders like from Planning Commission?
So it is created in there. So like
Okay.
if there's a data request or anything, I mean,
It's
that's
there
where we
already.
scan all of our information. Yes, it is in that.
So then it would seem that being it's already there, it's just hidden from the public, that it would be just redesigning the program.
Yeah, I know this.
Well, I guess I would feel better if we actually were able to have someone with the knowledge of website design.
Diane,
Yes,
the system that it stores in is our Laserfish system that the
Yes.
city uses to document store.
right.
So that system contains a mixture in the other folder areas of public and non-public data. So it's not just as simple as assigning, public clearance to all of that stuff. The data that's in there, some of it is not public data.
Right. But
Because
obviously
that's
we've-
where we keep our records
Yeah.
from the city get scanned and stored for eternity, so to speak, while the paper documents aren't kept longer than typically 7 or 8 years.
But, I mean, obviously, we were able to pull out the city council folder and make it public.
But city council items are always public.
Correct.
The non-public stuff that you guys deal with would never end up in that folder.
But pretty much,
Diane, I think your questions are more for the programmer.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think that, so what I'm getting out of this is it'd be easier to say, sign up so you can get the emails with the agendas for all the meetings than it would be to make it public via our website the way it is designed right now. And like we said, for the purposes of storing our files and the data, which we have to do, versus making it available via the website, it'd be easier to get the direct email, should you choose to. And if we're already doing what we are obligated to do as a city to notify the public, is this an item that needs any action, or is this just a discussion item, and can we move on?
Well, then I would request, if we're not going to move forward on at least exploring how much it would cost to redo our system to allow that, I mean, obviously other towns are able to, and maybe have different systems, I wouldn't deny that ours is probably old, that at least then, very prominently on our webpage, we have a thing that said, if you would like to have the meeting agendas and supporting documents from any board, commission, here's how you get it sent to you on a regular basis. So that people know that.
To clarify, you're only doing the city council agendas, right? Because like Ellen does Public Works and police.
I only create, well, I create the city council and finance committee. I think that's all I do. But they all send them to me. As a city clerk, they send them to me.
Okay.
And then I put them into our document imaging to make sure that we keep following the rules that we need to follow and keep all those packets. And then I do send those out. So if those agendas out to those that request those specific committees, commissions, whatever it is.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
Could any of that be posted on like a social media site? Is that too public? Like, could you do a link from, oh, the police commission met and this was the outcome?
Yeah, you could do that, but.
Do you
here's-
want to do that? I mean, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, you can. Everything
Okay.
is public that we do.
Right.
Right? But here's the problem we're running into. Who's going to do it? Who's going to, as I was talking to staff today, we can do it the first time and get it done. But who's going to keep that all organized and maintained and up and running? That's a big job. When you talk about Farmington and Faribault and Northfield, they got IT departments that do that stuff. we're down 1.5 people in our administration.
And you feel it.
I'm not dumping nothing, no more stuff on Sarah.
We just heard what Sarah does.
Yeah.
We're not going to go there.
Right.
Right.
So
Agreed.
if we're gonna go with this, we're gonna have to have a person.
Right.
On the other hand, if she's going to start sending this to anybody that wants it, I would think it would be easier, and maybe it's not this document, because I know a little bit to be dangerous with this stuff. So, and Laura probably is like biting her tongue over there. I get that we have Image Center at our company, so I get this is linking out to a document repository. But is it possible to just on a regular landing page, don't link out to that document, but literally, like even if it was me that you emailed it to, and I took, because, and go and we created some fancy little high school kid, I didn't mean little, a young whippersnapper who knows this stuff better than we do, or Laura, and you had one page with all documents, and it's just the raw Word document, and it takes literally 30 seconds to upload it, and you walk away. If that was an option, that would be a lot less work on Sarah trying to have to email it, and maybe she doesn't email it to anybody anymore. It's out there, you go get it yourself. And then that's actually less work for her. I don't want to make more work for you, but I also don't know what else's options are. I can understand, because we also were talking about quorums and, running the risk of, I don't go to the finance committee because then there's too many council people there, but without bothering Sarah to get the agenda and the meeting minutes, I don't know what happened there. And sometimes it might be good to know that.
You want to trade?
Well, and.
No, I'm good.
And I hear what you're saying, Laura. On the other side, the information that goes through any of these committees
Right.
that does come with approval, or sometimes even saying it's not approved, it still makes it to the council agenda. So that's why, the sausage gets ground in the committees and the boards, and then the things that rise above still do come to us.
Agreed.
But I understand Diane's also concerned of just wanting the public to have access to this. I do. But what I'm hearing from Neil and Sarah, this is a problem that maybe the solution is somewhere in the future, but I don't know if it's something that we should put time and resources to tackle right now. If it's easier to create a group email when somebody puts a request, because I know group emails, you can have everybody's, BCC in there, and then just after the meeting, put it in there and send it. Maybe that's the easiest thing right now? I don't know.
Are we're still paying maintenance fees to the Laserfish company, right? That we could add or not? Sorry.
I can't say 100% sure that we do pay those, but I would be willing to bet we do. I don't pay the bills, but yeah, I'm sure we do. With any other software that we have, we usually have an annual maintenance fee.
And I guess I would challenge us to say, if we don't start looking at it now, if we just kick the bucket down the road, we're never going to do it. And I don't know if this means hire a temporary person to say, look at our system and figure it out. And if it's that old, maybe there's a lot of things we could clean up and make life easier for everyone all around. And it doesn't have to be a full-time person, but find somebody who's capable, qualified, and say, come in and look at this and give us our options.
Right off the top of your head, Sarah, how many requests do you have for the council agenda now?
That's public. I mean,
What?
it's on.
Well, let's just say the question is how many people.
Email.
Yeah.
She emails.
Off the top of my head, I'm gonna 10, 15 people.
So
Is that including council, or is that
Nope,
just
that's
citizens?
citizens.
Okay.
I do mail too. They still want paper copies, so I do mail too. Mm-hmm.
Anything else from the council? All right, moving on to item C, city attorney present at council meetings. Diane?
And I know we've gone over this many times, and that's why I included, and sorry I didn't send the supporting documents the first time. I was pointed out to me when you clicked on my things, they didn't do anything, so now they do. The city charter does say city attorney, or among other duties, city attorney must attend council meetings. Now, somebody pointed out that didn't say all council meetings. I do not know what the Charter Commission and the voters of Cannon Falls felt. If they assume that when it says must attend council meetings, they assume that meant all. I realize it doesn't say that. However, I think we ought to get a legal opinion on that, because if the attorney's supposed to be here, then we ought to do it, even if it costs us money. And this brings me to point number 3, which is, obviously, back in December of 2020, we thought the city attorney had to be present at all meetings, being we put it in the contract.
Well, let's stay one thing at a time here. So
Okay.
you brought up the charter?
Correct.
And then you jumped to the contract. Let's talk about the charter first, please. Here's a hard copy for everybody. Or this is also this is the hard copy for the agreement for legal services.
Have it, we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Oh, this would be a new one.
That's a new contract with Shelley's name instead of Sarah's.
Good, thank you.
Would we be able to take the lawyer's name out and just leave the firm Hoff-Berry to keep us covered for whoever they assign to us? So that we don't have to do this again if we were assigned somebody else? Or if she was replaced one night, or?
I think it says you got to have a name in there.
Okay. Okay.
You know, it's kind of funny. There's a lot of things that we do as a government agency that aren't completely followed by ordinances. This is one of them. Back in 2010, when it was the great LGA meltdown, where the state ran out of money and all the cities got all their LGA pulled out from underneath them just before the end of their budget year. Cannon Falls looked at that, and they were cutting police officers, or attempting to, cutting, because it was hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of the things that the council back then, it wasn't in the minutes and it wasn't in the work session minutes, but all of a sudden during that process, the city attorney quit attending meetings.
Mm-hmm.
They must have in the background talked about it, and because from there on, from 2010, city attorney did not attend the meetings. So it was due to the budget cuts of 2010-11 when we were in the Great Recession. That's when that all started. And there's a lot of ordinances that the city plays in the gray area. That's one of them. Did they determine back then that the verbiage of not having all in there meant that a city attorney can attend council meetings, right? So there's a lot of things that we do that the ordinance are on the books. You know, we're a moving system. We move into the future all the time, hence why you'll hear sometimes there's you can't walk down the sidewalk or you can't hitch your horse are still on the books. Them are long gone, but they're still on the books. Mm-hmm. There's things that don't get removed or that the council decides are not favorable and are still on the books. And I'll give you a few examples. Look what you do when you have your snow removal, and it says on our ordinance that from midnight to 6 o'clock, you can't park on the street. Go drive around. We allow them to park on the street. but buyer beware, there's going to be snow, you got to move your car. We still have the ordinance, and we can still ticket them, but we don't follow it exactly. And is that right or wrong? Every city does that. Every city has them type of ordinances. We play in the gray area constantly. You guys as a group 2 meetings ago played in the gray area when it came to 4 dogs. Think about that. You played in the gray area. You allowed that lady to keep her dog. Another one is, think about, we've got 3 vehicles sitting up in the city parking lots. You're not supposed to park in the parking lots at night, right? There's 3 vehicles sitting up there. There's still snow around them. We haven't done anything about them. So when the council back in 2010 decided to do this, it wasn't a big deal. We've got to save some money. And to be honest with you, we're moving into the next budget cycle. There was 2 budgets in my 20-some years that I've done this that I am not looking forward to. One of them was in 2010 and 11, and the next one is next year's. So when we decide to work on this next budget, you're going to see a lot of expenses that just became because of inflation. And you know it by the pickup truck that Dan bought with the plow on it went from $40,000 to $60,000. So when you look at this stuff and you say, well, why didn't we do that? We play in the gray area constantly. If Diane gives to the Planning Commission a variance, you know what that is? That's playing in the gray area. Because a variance is not following the rules. It's not following the ordinances. So you give them a variance. So that happens all the time. Now, if you guys want to do that and you want the attorney sitting here, that's fine. But I would recommend to change the charter because 90% of the time you're going to have that attorney sitting here and not say a word. We need her when we call her. We need her. We need her to be here. So I guess I'm going to get off the high horse now. But that's my thoughts. And we're not the only city that does that. It happens all over the place. There's ordinances on the books that are never followed because they're old. So.
Okay, and I'll respond, and I appreciate your input. However, this charter was official in 2012. 2010 and 2012 are when the people of Cannon Falls voted on it. And the charter is kind of like the basic bottom line. This is what the people, the voters of Cannon Falls said are the rules. They are different than ordinances, which have to comply with the charter. The city council can redo ordinances all the time. We have a public hearing, vote on it, there they go. City charter to be changed has to be changed by the people. So there's a huge difference. I do appreciate gray areas. I am not saying I personally want the city attorney here and have to pay for the city attorney at every meeting. I don't know. I like to save money, which is why I included in my notes how you can go about changing the charter, or asking the people of Cannon Falls to take that out. And it can be done. We don't have to, and there again, we'd have to have the lawyer look at it, but it appears that we can change the charter without going through the cost of having a charter commission. But we will have, if you change the charter, you do have to have a vote by the people.
So what would that cost?
You can piggyback it with a regular election, and I have no idea. But I want to say, my thing is, you've got a rule, it's there. I don't think we as a council have the authority or the right to call the gray area and ignore it.
I believe there are 3 things to law. There's legislation making the law. There's the judicial that interprets the law, and there's law enforcement that enforces the law. Our city charter, if you want to consider it a law, verbatim, the city attorney is responsible directly to the council. Among other duties, the city attorney must attend council meetings, approve all bonds to which the city is party as to form, approve all sureties required by the city, furnish legal opinions upon request by the council, and act as the reviser of ordinances for the city. When it says attend council meetings, it says must attend council meetings. Interpretation, the word all, absent. The word every, absent. Can our lawyer still approve all the bonds? Can they still do everything that is required of the charter? Yes, that's an interpretation. Also, in our ordinances, which were not shared with us tonight, I believe the item C says, as required by the council. And as you said, if the rules in the ordinances are to support the charter, if that was written and approved, that supports this. The word request by the council is that phrase, furnish legal opinions upon request by the council. So if we request Shelley to be present for a meeting, she will be so. She makes herself available for every meeting just in case we do call her to be here. But saying must attend council meetings does not mean every or all. It means must.
That's your interpretation.
Well, must attend meetings. If you've been to more than one, you've fulfilled it. If we had a lawyer or if we had an administrator that said we are in violation,
Why do we have a contract that says
it's a separate issue.
attends all council meetings?
This is a separate issue on tonight's agenda.
Right.
If you want to talk about this,
Okay, but, and I will still say, I think your interpretation is incorrect. I would defer this and ask our attorney to look at that, or an attorney specializing in legal documents to see whether or not we have to comply with that in our charter, and if so, do we want to update it, or if we can just ignore it?
the lawyers who have served our city since 2012, if they thought they were in violation, they would have brought it up. They have practiced under these same rules.
I would still like the attorney to issue an opinion, please.
Can we ask Shelley for an opinion on this?
So I could be wrong. You guys have been on the council. Didn't we deal with this a while ago, or is that before Steve and Matt have been on here for a while? Didn't the attorney back then, our previous attorneys, say that it didn't have to be all? Is that right, or am I misremembering this?
I remember the same thing, and at the time, we were trying to cut costs,
Yeah.
and we thought if we could save a cost of 2 meetings a month, we would do it. Now, if you want to go through all the stuff it takes to change everything, then that's up to you.
For some reason, I feel like our previous attorney weighed in on this already, but I could be wrong. I mean, this is probably 3-4 years ago.
That been Elliot back then?
Yeah, it might have even been before Neil.
Elliot,
I think it was with Campbell Knutson.
Yeah, yep, that sounds right.
I don't recall if it was with Roger Knutson or
There was a younger guy.
Dave Kendall.
Yeah,
or
that sounds right.
we there was a period where we moved through a couple just because of day shifts and when we met and their representation of other cities and stuff. But I do recall the council dealing with that and getting an opinion from the city attorney at the time.
So have we come to a consensus that if we ask Shelley her opinion on this, we can table the issue for tonight?
I'm okay with that.
All right. Moving on, city business or council business, item D, update the contract with city attorney. Diane.
Oh, and that was what Neil just passed out.
Changing of a name?
Yep.
What?
Then you might want to look at point one, or scope of legal services.
Would you like this to be on the next agenda?
Yeah, maybe we better do that.
Yeah, let's wait till we get her.
Till we get the opinion from Shelley?
Yeah.
Then we can adjust the contract?
Yep.
All right. Moving on to reports. EDA, Laura, would you like to speak or would you like me to? It was mostly a review of contracts or of terms, payments, scheduling, annual review. We talked about some numbers and then also an update on Hardwood Estates. I believe we were shared a preliminary, what is not public, but a preliminary plat of what our engineers, Bill Angerman, had shared with us. Is there any information that can be shared with that? I think 111 lots. And again, it's preliminary, but it's
Draft.
Yep. So just the very first one we've seen, but so an update there on Hardwood Estates. That's it from EDA. Park Board.
All right, Park Board. Some of these things were on the consent agenda. The fire engine show. Lions Club came. tonight we officially changed the name of East Side Park to the Lions East Side Park. They're also looking to kind of not take over, but do a lot to that park. They want to maybe plant some trees, maybe when the pickleball court's there, maybe get some stuff down there for that. Talked more about the Trail Connection grant, which we're postponing to next year. And Emerald Ash Borer grant, and the direction signs, the wayfinding signs. Just talked more about that. We did talk a little bit about the disc golf. There's not a whole lot we can do right now because of money, but some little things they might be able to do here this spring. That's all.
Thank you. Public Works.
That's me too. Just had a couple water requests, water meter, what am I trying to say? Requests to get a refund on water bills, which we denied. The pit pump, selling the pickup, and hire a part-time custodian. All was on the agenda tonight. That's it.
Wonderful. I know we had a great work session earlier today, but for my department heads, do you want to go one by one, or are we all good? We're all good? Danny, you good?
Don't put the snow shovels away yet.
Thanks.
You trust those, I was going to ask you, you trust those meteorologists this weekend, could be? Chief, anything?
Along with those snow shovels, I will add that please don't park on the streets. This is going to be wet, heavy snow if we get the number of inches that they're talking about. Dan's crews are going to be busy, and we want to make sure those streets are clear so they can get them curb to curb as fast as possible to get everybody where they want to go safely. And not parking on the streets really enables us to do that.
Sarah or Neil? All right. Go around the horn. Laura?
I'm good.
Okay. Lisa?
I'm good.
Ryan?
Say thanks to Laura for helping me get the video up.
Derek? Diane? Steve?
Me too.
I'll be quick. Congratulations to the Bombers boys basketball team. They have made it to the section semifinals. They'll be playing Lake City here on Saturday down in Rochester. If you are a basketball fan or a supporter of the high school and you've got nothing going on Saturday, please take the time to drive down to Rochester, support your team. I also want to thank the city for sending me to the League of Minnesota Cities event this last weekend in Alexandria. It was a wonderful event. The learning sessions were fantastic. Definitely to hear different perspectives, to talk to people, get a chance to meet people from different communities all across the state, bigger cities, smaller cities. I know I said this before, but it's so funny because they always say, oh, you have the same issues, money, this, that. And the conversation a few times rotated around chickens and how many cities are fighting to not allow chickens. And it was just, it was funny because we do face very similar issues in different communities, much larger than us and much smaller than us. So. Absolutely.
I'll let you be the end though, but one thing that I do remember hearing very clear, and it rang true again today, is one gal is a city clerk in one city, and she was on the city council in another city. She was at my table, and she said, and she said it to the whole group, if you put something out there, think of what you're doing to your city clerk.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got out of this. What you're doing to Sarah.
Yeah.
You're nodding, Sarah, you're
Oh,
nodding.
yes.
What
Yes.
would Sarah do?
Yeah, I mean, there were discussions, though, of, social media, budget, conflict, leadership styles, taking care of ourselves, honestly. A lot of good information. So, again, I thank the city for allowing that. Anything else? I would take a motion to adjourn, and we're going to have to roll call it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Derek, second from Diane. Roll call. Gesme. For adjourning.
Aye.
Groth.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Cronenberger.
Aye.
And Lindell.
Aye.
It carries. Have a good night, everybody.
I forgot what I.